What's going on, everybody? Ronnie DiMaggio here, product specialist at BMW of Morristown, and in today's video we are continuing our employee vehicle spotlight series with this 2023 BMW M5. So we have already done videos on our channel with the M5, both standard and competition. In fact, we've already done a video with this exact M5, but that video was recorded prior to Romello, one of our client advisors, taking delivery of this M5. So this is Mello, one of our client advisors here at BMW of Morristown. This is his personal 2023 M5 competition, finished in Alvite Grey. And we decided to revisit this particular M5 because since Mello has taken delivery of the car, he's done some fun stuff, which you can probably already spot from that angle as far as modifications go, some exterior stuff, some performance mods. We'll talk about all of that stuff in this video. If you want a tour of a stock standard M5, we did this car when it was stock. We did another M5 when it was stock. We'll link to both of those videos in a little pop-out card here if you want to check those out. But because we've already done videos like that, we're just going to focus on some of the modifications and enhancements made to this specific M5, Mello's M5, and go over some of those non-factory options and pieces of equipment that Mello has added to this M5. So let's get started up front. We'll talk about the front end styling as well as what's under the hood. All right, so under the hood of Mello's 2023 M5. So we'll start with the standard M5 stuff. This is, of course, the S63, BMW's 4.4 liter twin turbo V8 in stock form. In competition cars, it makes 617 horsepower, 553 pound-feet of torque. This is the same engine that has powered the M5 since the F10. It was in the X5 and X6M, the M6, the M8, powered all those cars. It's a great stout powertrain that is currently powering the M5. It is being replaced in the model lineup by the S68, but for now the M5 still uses, this is actually the last model year that will use the S68, the S63, excuse me, is the 2023 M5. But there are some aftermarket things going on under here, as you can probably tell already if you have a sharp eye. We have some aftermarket intakes which are front mounted, so the filters are actually hidden behind the grille. Not really hidden, you can see them pretty clearly behind the grille. We'll throw in some B-roll shots of that so you can get a good look at those Project Gamma intakes. Generally speaking, in modern cars, modern BMWs at least, or what I'm familiar with, intakes don't do much in terms of power. Mostly for sound, they add some really nice turbo sounds and intake sounds, but they don't really add a lot of power. That's generally true of most modern cars, at least BMWs. I know I can say that with confidence. Not super sure about older cars and other cars, but with modern BMWs, intakes are really for sound. They're cosmetic and sound modifications rather than power adding, because BMW designs a really efficient and high-flowing intake from factory. But under the hood, so we have the Project Gamma intakes, and we also have a JB4. So JB4, Berger Motorsports, really common piggyback tuner that BMW enthusiasts have used. I think it was sort of popularized on the N54, like the E90 chassis 3 Series cars, and it was used all the way through F chassis and now on G chassis cars as well. So this car's tuned on JB4. It's running E85, so it's making a good amount more power than stock. Hasn't been on a dyno yet or anything like that, but rated at 617 factory. That's well underrated, more like 600-ish to the wheels from factory, so you'd have to assume it's at least 650, upper 600s, maybe close to 700 wheel horsepower on E85 with the JB4. So that's under the hood. Not a ton going on here as far as modifications, just some really nice Project Gamma intakes. JB4, there's an exhaust system as well, which we'll talk about when we get around the car, and of course show you guys a sound clip of. But that's under the hood. Let's move on to some of the cosmetic modifications up front. All right, so out front of Mello's M5, not a ton going on here. Really the only modification is the carbon fiber front splitter or lip spoiler, whatever you want to call it, down on the lower part of the bumper, which looks really nice. Adds a little bit of sort of aggression to that front end. The M5 is a super aggressive looking car from factory, but that little subtle, it doesn't stick out super far like a lot of aftermarket front splitters do, but good looking piece of carbon fiber on the front there. Otherwise, it's all factory up here, and it looks really, really nice. The M5, like I said before, really good looking car, really nice looking daytime running lights, the M double slack grille, those nice wide openings on either side underneath the headlights, and the lower center portion of the grille all looks really cool. Like we said earlier, this color is called Alvite Grey. Same paint coat, I believe, as Champagne Quartz, if that's a color that you're familiar with. Really, really pretty color, looks really nice. And One detail that I like, and I guess this is a cosmetic thing up front, the front mount intakes are purple in this car, sort of ties in with the 50th anniversary roundel, and Alvite Grey in certain lights has like shades of a pinkish purple. It's mostly a silvery gray gold sort of color, but there are hints of purple, sometimes pink, depending on the lighting that you're looking at it in. So nice little attention to detail to match the intake color to the paint in some way. But that is the front of the car. Let's move around to the side where there are some more modifications to talk about. All right, so along the side of Mello's M5, quite a few things to talk about here. The first thing that you're probably noticing are these wheels. These are Titan 7 TS5 forged wheels, and the thing that I love about these wheels, these are pretty popular on BMWs. If you go to shows, you'll see TS5s, Titan 7 TS5s on a lot of different BMWs, and for good reason. They look fantastic. It's a really beautiful design, first of all, but they're very open, so there's a lot of space between all of these spokes, and with BMWs, that means that you can see the really nice looking brake calipers. On this car, obviously, they're finished in red, and a nice open wheel design allows you to kind of admire the calipers and the brake setup. It's a mechanical piece. Brakes, obviously, rotors, calipers are all mechanical parts, but there's beauty in that too. They're very nicely designed and they look great. It's a 20-inch wheel. It's a 285/30/20 up front and a 295/30/20 out back. 285/35/20, I'm sorry, 295/35/20 in the back. So 20-inch wheel, not quite square in terms of diameter, not width. It's a 10 millimeter wider tire in the back. But as we move along the side of the car, those are the wheels. A little cosmetic modification down on the bottom, outside of the rocker panel, side skirts, whatever you want to call them. You have some side skirt extensions. Again, carbon fiber matches the carbon fiber front splitter. Up front looks really nice. The windows are also tinted, obviously, as you can see, pretty dark, which looks really, really cool. But that is pretty much it as far as modifications on the side of the car. The big thing here is the wheels and, of course, the suspension. How could I forget? So it's lowered on H&R springs. I'm told that they're 550 springs. The kit from H&R is designed for the M550, but fitment works on the F90 as well, which is really cool. The fitment is basically flawless. I can just barely stick a finger in there underneath the front wheels, and about the same in the back, a little bit tighter in the back. But these wheels have the perfect offset for this car. The springs lower it the perfect amount, so the stance, as you guys can see, is really aggressive but really flawless. And I drove it around the parking lot, doesn't rub or anything weird like that at all. Full mobility of the front, steering left and right, good enough travel in the back, so no rubbing over bumps. So fits really good and also looks really good. I think springs are a great option on modern M cars rather than coilovers. So if you have an older car that doesn't use adaptive suspension or electronic dampers or any sort of adjustable suspension, coilovers are always the way to go, in my opinion. But on modern cars that have adjustable dampers, like the M5, all of the modern M cars, any car with like adaptive handling package or dynamic handling package or something like that as far as BMW goes, you can modify the springs, get shorter springs so the car goes lower, but you maintain the functionality of the electronic dampers. Whereas if you got coilovers, you would not maintain that functionality. So on modern M cars, springs seem to be the way to go. There are still coilover options that are great. And then on older cars, if you don't have electronic dampers, I do usually recommend coilovers. Anything but air suspension, anything but bags. Coilovers and springs are the way to go, in my opinion. But that's it for the side of the car. As far as modifications go, we have wheels, suspension, and side skirt extension. As far as tires, Michelin Pilot Sport 4S, that's a factory tire on the front, and a Nitto grippier tire on the back. But that's the side of the car. Let's move along to the back. All right, so around back of Mello's M5, as far as cosmetics go, we do have a carbon fiber rear spoiler up top, as you can see. One thing I noticed about this specific carbon fiber spoiler, a lot of carbon fiber spoilers with BMWs, at least the ones that I'm experienced with, they don't always fit quite right. There's always like a millimeter off or so on either end. You can't center them perfectly. Not the case here. This is a high quality piece and it is centered really nicely. So if you're in the market for a carbon fiber spoiler, some buyer's advice here, consumer advice, go to the forums, make sure people are finding that they fit properly, because some of them don't, and you don't want to be the guy that has his spoiler, you know, a millimeter or so off to the left or right. So nice looking little addition there. As far as other cosmetic things, the exhaust tips are different, but so is the entire exhaust system. So this car is fit with the AWE exhaust for the F90 M5. Besides BMW's own exhaust systems and like M Performance parts and stuff, AWE is top-notch quality. I've listened to their systems on quite a lot of cars, and they sound fantastic. The tips always look really nice as well. But we're talking about an exhaust, so let's actually stop talking about it and let you guys have a listen. So as you heard in that exhaust clip, this M5 is super loud. There's no mufflers. I don't think there's a resonator, so super loud, but it also sounds really good. The S63 benefits from being quick to rev. I don't know if that's a light flywheel or just the way BMW tunes the engine, lightweight crankcase, something like that, but there's not a lot of inertia or mass in the rotating assembly of the engine, so it revs super quick. Just a light little tap of the throttle gets you a nice, quick, responsive rev. In manual transmission equipped S63 cars of old, like the F10 M5, that meant really nice heel-toe rev match downshifts. In modern cars, it means they sound really cool when they rev, and you still get really snappy downshifts with the automatic. So in combination, AWE's exhaust and BMW's S63 powertrain, this car sounds really good. Now they sound really good from factory. They have those really nice burbles and cracks and pops and stuff like that. You can tune that out in the aftermarket if you don't like it, or just leave the car in the quiet mode, but sounds really good. So that's enough on the exhaust, and that will pretty much do it for the rear end of the car. So back here it's just exhaust and spoiler. Otherwise, Mello has so far at least left this car stock. I know he's considering doing some other things to the car, modifying it a little bit further, just not sure what direction to go yet, but for now this is how it sits, and that will actually do it for the video, because we're not going to hop inside. We've already done a video on this literal exact M5. We'll show you some clips of the interior, but we won't bother going through the interior because there's no modifications, and we've already done a video on this car. So if you want to check out the inside of this car, go ahead and click the little banner that we showed earlier, the little info card where you can see the interior of this exact M5. But let's move around out front and we'll wrap up with our final thoughts. All right, so that's going to do it for our employee vehicle spotlight, this walk around and overview of Mello's 2023 M5. Overall, not a ton done to the car, but in sum, all the little things make for a really cool driving experience that is definitely a notch above what is already an incredible car from the factory. The F90 M5 is insanely capable, really powerful, tons of tire, tons of brake, tons of suspension. It is so much car right out of the box, so there's not really a lot to do from, a modification and aftermarket perspective, but enthusiasts will always find a way, and Mello has found a way to take his M5 to the next level with some cosmetics, some performance stuff, and that kind of lights, kind of not super intensive, nothing crazy, but just enough to go that one step further with your car. So really hope you guys enjoyed checking out Mello's M5 as much as we enjoyed sharing it with you. Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at BMW of Morristown. If you like this video, please press the like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you think we deserved it. But that'll do it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.